Welcome to the last episode of Limca Sports Stars. At the very last moment, there was a venue change. The tournament has now been shifted from Sri Lanka to South Africa. What are the challenges that could be posed by that? We'll ask our guests, Shubhayan, Raj and Boria. A lot of fans had a lot of mixed reactions. What were your initial reactions to this news?
Boria?
It's basically saying that, instead of going to the sun, you're going to the moon. It's that big a change.
Yeah.
Oh.
Subcontinent, Sri Lanka, getting ready for Sri Lanka. The reason India did not go in for preparatory tournaments, a point that was alluded by Rajesh in one of the earlier episodes, is because it's Sri Lanka.
Right.
It's very similar to subcontinental conditions. It's very similar to conditions at home. You've programmed yourself and all of a sudden you're told, hello, it's not Sri Lanka, it's South Africa. The pitches are different, the conditions are different, there's movement, so it's going to be a completely different ball game.
Shubhayan, as cricketers, you prepare on similar conditions, right? If they were going to be playing on Sri Lanka, the batters must have been preparing on slower pitches and all of that. Where does all of that hard work go now?
I think it will test their mental fortitude. First of all, the conditions, as mentioned by Boria here, is chalk and cheese. It's completely different. You get the bouncier tracks. The wind in South Africa plays a huge role. It's like in the Bloemfontein, India are playing all their group matches. It's windy. It's windy there. Not as windy as Port Elizabeth, but still very windy. And in India, if you are playing your cricket during the winter season, you won't get that much of wind. You will get the chilly vibe, but the windy conditions are completely different. The scorecard changes completely. When you are playing in India or Sri Lanka, you would target at least 300 runs in 50 overs. But in South Africa, 300 is like if you touch 300, you have done half of your job there. But 300 is a tricky challenge there, and there's a tri series before the Under-19 World Cup. That's a good part on the BCCI, CSA, and the ECB that they have organized a tri series. But that will be your final preparation before you go and play the final tournament in India.
Why did you do the Asia Cup now? It was well planned. That you play the Asia Cup and then you go to Sri Lanka.
Right.
That plan has now gone out of the window and no one's responsible for it. Sri Lanka made a mess of their cricket. The ICC had to impose a sanction. So the governing body is not responsible. The boards aren't. If someone came and told us South Africa favourites going into Sri Lanka, we would have said, what? Look at the tournament's record. How many these teams, except maybe in Australia, how many of these teams have come to the subcontinent and won? Very few. Now all of a sudden, South Africa, home conditions becomes a contender. Australia, anywhere. England becomes a contender. And teams like India, Bangladesh, they'll have to sort of, push their preparation up. India, anywhere, because of the kind of talent. But Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, these sides will struggle. Make no mistake, will struggle. I'm quite pleased that, the Indian group is in a manner that we will not struggle. So the first thing I checked was who is there in our group.
Right.
And I was like, no. By the time the tournament is in the second week, India will be acclimatized.
Raj, completely different game plan now?
Earlier, Sri Lanka PCC were planning, like Boria said, quadrangular series in Vijayawada, then Asia Cup, all subcontinents, and they were planning to play another triangular series in Sri Lanka before the World Cup. So all subcontinent, and then you are moving to the World Cup. And now the things have changed. You have played in Vijayawada quadrangular series, that is in Indian pitch.
Right.
Asia Cup you are playing, that is in Dubai. And now you have a month's time. In between, you are trying to play. You are playing one triangular series, and that is your only chance to prepare yourself. So that series is going to be huge. I mean,
Ireland and USA are there in the group, so I think these two matches India should relatively win easily.
Bangladesh is a good side.
It's a good side.
Yeah, but then conditions both will be exposed to similar problems.
Right.
That's why I said that USA and Ireland you are able to take out. By the time Bangladesh has similar conditions, so by the time you finish the group, you're ready. And because of the format change that Gargi was alluding to at the start of the show, I think India will be ready.
Knowing this team, knowing the conditions of South Africa, what could be the challenges that India could face?
Rather than us talking about it, her question about South Africa and strategy, why not hear from the best man? We had actually asked this question to the greatest, Sachin Tendulkar, about batting in South Africa, about bowling in South Africa. And he'd given us a masterclass. Listen in.
On a number of occasions that we've spoken, I've always said front foot defense is important. Up front foot defense is important. And that front foot defense is going to count here. The first 25 overs front foot defense is going to be critical. And that is what we got to see in England when Rahul got those runs, and so did Rohit. Their front foot defense was solid. The hands were not going away from the body. When your hands start going away from your body, that is when you start losing control slowly but surely. And the beauty was their hands were not going away. They got beaten on occasion, and that's fine. Every batter gets beaten, and bowlers are there to pick wickets, so it's okay. But when your hands start going away from your body, that is when you're likely to edge the ball. The reason for them continuing to bat was because their hands were close to their body. And that was a major difference in the earlier partnerships which were unsuccessful, and the last tour of England, where the openers really did a fabulous job. When it comes to hitting the right areas, I would say a lot depends on the overhead conditions, the dampness in the surface. All those kind of elements come into play. And if the ball is swinging, then I would encourage the bowlers to bowl around off stump. Not outside off stump. If you want to take the ball away and you are targeting fourth stump or maybe a little away than that, then it makes batter's life easy. He's also readying your wrist position and the way the bowler is releasing the ball. So you don't want to allow a batter to comfortably leave those deliveries, where I would encourage the bowlers, actually, if you falter being in line and getting hit a couple of times for a flick, I would be okay with that. But don't waste the new ball. The new ball in South Africa becomes really, really important. The first 25 overs are really important. When the seam is hard, it's sticking up and it flattens up a bit, then I would encourage the bowlers to pull back the length a bit, slightly further away from the batter. And then, depending on how much the pitch is helping and who is batting, the batter's stronger areas and weaker areas, all those factors will come into play. And then you decide the right length to bowl.
That was the legendary Sachin Tendulkar sharing his wisdom. What are your thoughts? What could be the dark horse in South Africa for India? Focus on the Indian team.
I think the tall bowler Raj Limbani, he's going to be a handful there. Given his height, the kind of hit-the-deck bowler he is, he has a great in-swinger. So with the new ball, I'm looking forward to Raj Limbani bowling in South Africa. If he can,
I actually want to ask all of you, we've discussed so much about India. Who are the other teams? And who are the other big boys?
From Pakistan, there's a bowler pacer named Ubaid Shah. He's the brother of Naseem Shah. Similar
Shahid Hashmi was telling me about him.
Yes, I remember.
Similar action, similar swing, can move the ball both ways. And when we are talking about Pakistan, the pace attack is something which they have something in their pace bowler. There's a long 7-foot bowler also in that Pakistan. Imagine an 18-year-old, 6'5", 7 feet tall. He has already troubled the Indian team in the under-19 Asia Cup game. He was sledging them. So this Pakistani team, they have
Spice.
They have that spice, of the earlier stage when Wasim Awaka used to stare, Shoaib Akhtar used to come from that 40-meter long run-up. This Pakistani pace bowling duo, especially this Ubaid Shah guy, I'm looking forward to watch them. But there are a couple of handy guys from England and Australia.
Yeah, and coming to Australia, that fellow who won the Brian Taber medal.
Yes, Aidan O'Connor.
He is apparently a real talent.
Yeah. Sam Constance is there from Australia. He's a great talent. The kind of, I've spoken to a few local reporters there, and they have said he's going to be the next kind of Aaron Finch in the making. He has that shot, he has that power from very early age, which is natural. He has not worked extremely hard in gym as of now, but he has that natural power, which is a rarity in international.
And Harry Dixon.
Harry Dixon.
He has got a BBL contract already.
Yeah, from Australia.
And again, another country where the sporting structure is inculcated into kids from the age of 2. I mean, you've got to, and I've lived and worked in that country. It's crazy. Whatever time you come back home from office, from school, from college, you will go and play. It's there. It's part of the DNA. You will either play softball or some basketball or running or athletics or tennis or Aussie rules or cricket. You will play a sport. And that's where you realize why these guys are so good. whether it's look at the women's team. I mean, I've said this in the past that the Australian women's team is better than Clive Lloyd's team or Ricky Ponting's team. So that country, while we talk India, that country is always one country to be wary of.
You talked about great infrastructure. There's another team who is playing in this under-19 World Cup, that is Namibia, and you are going to see lot of headlines from there because there's a player named Faf du Plessis in that team. So even if Namibia doesn't do well, I think Faf du Plessis is going to make some headlines.
Even the older Faf du Plessis, he's kept his fitness such that he can go and play under 19.
Namibia, my first thing comes 2007 World Cup, that catch, you remember? Full length dive, that one-handed blinder of Virendra Sehwag. Unbelievable. But Namibia is such a great story.
It's a fantastic story. It's a tremendous story. And there's a spinner from England, Rehan Ahmed's brother, Farhan Ahmed. Apparently, Rehan was a prodigal talent, very hyped up to us at the age of 14. But people are saying that Farhan Ahmed is even more talented than him.
I was reading a piece that, this guy could just be fantastic, just about, and they were talking about Rehan and what impact he can have in subcontinental conditions, etc. And that's when I was reading that this Farhan fellow is very, very talented.
And their captain, Ben McNamee. Ben McNamee, he's a Durham County cricket product, and he got his professional contract for 2 years at the age of 18. So he's a good batter. Under his captaincy. He's captaining England for the last 12 months. So they were set captain, and under his captaincy, England won their first test in Australia since 2003.
Wow.
South African captain Tiger is also a very, very good product. Made the headlines due to wrong reasons for supporting the Israeli Defense Force, but he has been cleared from that investigation. But he's a genuinely good talent, a very good batsman in the making. And South Africa, they are now producing the talent. We saw South Africa somehow were lost after the likes of Graeme Smith and everyone retired, but now we are seeing the talent Tristan Stubbs, this Reza Hendricks coming in, Britske coming in, and the bowlers also, Gerald Coetzee coming in. So the next batch, they are producing some good youngsters, and I'm looking forward to watching Tiger also.
Okay, final question to you all. What is the one thing you're looking forward to the most? Be it matchups, a certain player, whoever, whatever.
I'm looking forward to the scoops and the unorthodox shot which the current T20 international stars plays. And these guys, as I said earlier, they have they have grown up watching IPL, the CPL, the South Africa T20 League now, and I'm now looking forward to playing them. So those outrageous scoop shots, the lap shots, and all other reverse sweep, reverse scoops. So this is going to be it's a 50-over format, I understand, but these guys are fearless. They won't be suppressed to showcase their unorthodox fancy shots again.
Shubhan wants revolution. What do you want?
We are already
See the bench strength. I mean, transition is inevitable in Indian cricket. Down the line, 2-3 years, many cricketers will retire. So these are the guys who will replace them. So you need 4 or 5 good names from this lot. So who can be added to the bank, the player bank. So if you have to survive in international cricket, you need to have a good, strong player bank in your hand, right? And this tournament is going to provide you that.
Fans. I absolutely want fans to go and embrace this tournament because fans are the lifeblood of sport. And if fans do not come to the ground and encourage these guys, however much it's broadcast money, you need fans because these are under 19, formative minds. You would want people to shout and scream and give them that momentum and that energy and that passion to go out there and perform. So if you are in South Africa, Indian or whichever country, go back these boys. They'll be your future rock stars. And it will be your I was there moment. I was there to see Arshin Kulkarni take 5 wickets against Australia. I kept that ticket. Be there.
Couldn't have said it better. And that wraps up our series from Limca Sports Stars. Stay tuned to Rev Sports as you watch the Under 19 World Cup.